So I have the car jacked up. I have it at the jack points on the front. I lifted it at the rear front jack point and then put my jack stand underneath. I did this on both sides, but on this side I leave the jack in place, resting on the pinch weld, just in case. Extra safety. Alright, so Lethal has a good video on removing the front end. I have removed the front end. There were a few steps I didn't have to take. He took off the whole bottom piece. There were a bunch of screws under here. Took this all off. Didn't need to do that, just needed to take the front ones that are here, there. There's like 8 of them. So all those are the ones that need to be taken off. Plus the ones that were a pain in the butt in the tire wells, and it's off. Got that front end off. That was a pain in the butt, but needed to be done to get the headlights out to get to the next step. Alright, so looking at the headlight, there are 4 screws to remove. 1, 2, 3, and underneath there 4. That's going to get that light off. You're also going to have to disconnect the headlight assembly. So I have the headlight out. I'm getting ready to do the shake and bake method. I have the oven at 225. There are 8 clips around the edge that you can take out. That's going to be good when you go to put it back together. It will help to hold and seal the glue that you put back in, silicone, and keep it tight. So these lights are huge. They're going to take up your entire oven. Make sure your rack's on low. And it's on 225. You can have it in there for 10 minutes. So the baking method was harder than it should have been, but basically it's so thick it's hard to get all the glue warmed up to be soft and get this off. If you want to attempt it, you probably can, but I went with the other method, which was the Dremel, and got it off, got the cover off. I did have one little issue at the top there with that crack, but I will seal that up. Now remember, when it's actually on your car, you only see this part of it, the top and the bottom. You're not going to see all this. So, but I'm going to clean it up a little bit, so make sure it does seal properly. So I'm going to use the rest of the instructions from Oracle to remove the 5 screws. Take this off, and then I'm also going to do the demon eye and the projector light. I don't know if anything has changed since the Oracle video showing how to remove this piece. There are the 5 screws on this side, and there's also a screw on the back, which is right here, and it's a T10 screw, and it actually screws into that hole right there. So you can't get this off without unscrewing that 6th screw. Also, there may be some glue that is on the inside that melted or got glued when they put it together. I had a lot in this corner here that was on the black piece, so as I tried to pull it out, it was stuck in that corner. So I took a little screwdriver and pried behind it. It's soft, but it's not coming apart, but you can pry behind it and separate the 2 pieces. This is definitely a little more challenging than what a video shows. So I have the whole headlight assembly apart, getting ready to install the demon eyes. If you're going to do the demon eyes and the DRLs, you're going to do them at the same time. I would not recommend doing this a second time if you get the demon eyes or DRLs later. So I'm at this point. The only thing that has been a pain in the butt is getting this bracket off that white piece down in the corner here that fits in this little connector. That's your light adjuster. It goes up and down based on the screw, but it is just popped in kind of like a doll's head or something, pops onto the body pieces. It's really hard to pull off. They show it really easy in the video, but it is not that easy. So I'm getting ready to install the DRL. I'm sorry, the demon eyes. I've got the DRLs installed here on this light. So I've got that ready. And then the demon eyes are here. Here's the second headlight still sitting here. And I cleaned the headlight. I use to get all the gunk that's off on the inside that you don't normally clean or get to. Hydrogen peroxide, a little bit on a cloth, will disintegrate bug parts and anything else that's on there, but it's not harmful to the plastic. Alright, so don't mind the mess. Got everything back together on the headlight. I am testing it out. I set up the power supply, the little adapter, wired it into the 12 volt, and I've got both the, I believe this one is the hot. That one is for the demon eyes, this one is for the DRLs. So I've wired them both in, and I'm going to turn it on. It's very bright, so hopefully it will catch it well. Okay, let's try that again. Turn on the power supply. There we go. Okay, so the first mode that I have it set to is white. Now the demon eye isn't very bright, but it's enough that if you're going down the street and you change it to a color like, oops, red, you can see the red eyes. Now right now I have everything on one controller. I may eventually put the demon eyes on a separate one, but when you turn on your signal, your DRLs will stay on. It's all run through the ColorSHIFT 2.0 controller. And the controller shows what color it's on, what it's doing. I've set a couple of the presets. This would be orange. This is for the 50th. I'm going to match it a little better. I think that's pretty close, but I'll match that when I put it back on the car and I'm looking at the stripes. And then I have just the rotating colors. I've got it on a little fast so it scrolls through them fairly quickly. Got a strobe. I've got red. A little slower scroll, smooth through the colors. And those are the 6 presets I have. And what's nice is everybody complains about how bright the DRLs are. That's white. That's mode 1. That'll be the default whenever I'm driving down the street. I'm going to have it hooked up to the parking lights so they will go on when the parking lights come on like they normally do. Or at least I'll have the power feed from the parking lights. Now, the nice thing is you can turn down the brightness so you're not blinding people at night. Yes, you like the extra light, but you know, be considerate to others. I cannot drive behind my wife because she has me pass her, so she doesn't see the bright light. At least now you can control it. I do like it very bright, but that's the dim mode. That's the bright mode. So I'm working on the second light, and what the Oracle video doesn't show too well is running the wires. Now this is supposed to be a sealed light, and you have these old DRL boards that are stuck up on the bottom, and that's where they have, show the bottom here, that's where they have the cords coming out on the Oracle video. So what I've done is I want to keep it as sealed as possible. Is I'm going to put that plate back on even though it's not used, but I cut a hole in the lower half of that, whatever that is. There's like a piece of tape over a couple of holes. Use an X-Acto knife to just cut out the bottom one, and both wires do fit through. The one for the DRL just barely makes it through, but I checked it on the car and there's enough room to reach back there and connect the wires and then run them how you want across the front of the car. So this is the second light. Cleaned up the edges a little better. I'm gonna do a little more work on that and then seal it up. I'm gonna blow it out and put the cover back on and seal it up. The second light is together. I just have to put the cover on, but I'm just doing the test before I seal it up. Everything looks good. I like the orange. But the nice thing is, I think I said this in the other video, you can control the brightness. A lot of people think that you got your brights on when you got this coming at you. So, adjust the brightness. That's the lowest. And I believe that's the highest. 6 levels. Oh, 7, 8. Alright, 8 levels of brightness. You can control that on all the colors. I have it on the orange. Prove me wrong. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's just certain colors. But brightness, the white, you can definitely control. Alright, so here's the fog light. I have cut this one as well with a Dremel. Again, the heating in the oven just didn't work. The only problem with this is you have your clips. There's 3 screw points on the car when you take these off. And to cut these, you have to take those off. And I'm going to put them back on with the adhesive so that I can mount it back to the car. So there are 2 screws, one here, one in there. Can't see it very well, but it's in there. So you get those 2 T25 screws out. Here's the strip that's going to be taped. So I'll take more pictures in a few minutes. Okay, so aside from those 2 screws to get the black plate out, if you can see the way that it's designed, this side just kind of sat right in, but this side, the one on the left, kind of went into the groove. So if you cut it, you have to get all the crap out of the groove first before you can get this plate out. If you can heat it and pull it apart, you're probably doing a little better. But at this point there's 1, 2, 3 screws to get this off. Alright, so camera situated here. As you can see, got those 3 screws out and this comes out. Basically there are 8 SMD LEDs that join up with these 8 spots. Now the new one has more than 8 LEDs on it, but they will meet up. You should get double coverage. I think there's actually triple coverage. There's probably 24 LEDs on here versus 8. So this thing is going to really be bright. I'm going to take this board off and then see what I can glue to underneath with the back strip. Alright, since there's nothing to mount to on the inside with the stick 2A tape on the back of the LED strip, I'm going to tape it right on top of the old one matching up the LEDs, the top one here with the top one there. The bottom one matches up as well. I'm just going to stick it right on top of that. Fold this back behind and then send the cord out the back. Alright, so what I did, I used the LED board that came out of the fog light, and since this really can't be used anywhere, I grind it down with the Dremel to a flat surface so there's more sticky for the 3M to stick to. Wow, what a day. And then I also cut this little notch at the top for the cord to go behind. So I'm going to mount that. Alright, so everything's back together. Just going to put this on the top. I'll seal it up after testing it. But here's the moment of truth. Alright. That is bright. Do my orange. My rotating. And strobe. So again, you can adjust the brightness of the white, which is good during the day, or I'm sorry, at night. Not have to be so bright coming at people. So that's one down. Gonna do the other one. Hopefully get all this installed tonight. Just a couple things on the back. I came out that hole. I left that on just to keep it sealed. I'm gonna put a little putty or the sealant around the hole there. And also, you know, I know the outside, you can see it, it's where I cut, it's all white. The only thing that you see is this on the car. Everything else is hidden, so you don't have to worry about that if you do cut into it. Probably could get some marks if you melt the glue as well in the oven. So that's one of the fog lights. The other one is already cut and ready to disassemble. So, being that I had to cut the fog lights, I had to cut the plastic pieces off. So, to get them back on, I used a combination of super glue and PVC cement, plastic cement. They're on there pretty darn good, but we'll see as time goes on. They don't look pretty with all the swirls from the cuts and the white from the super glue, but all you're going to see is this. So I'm not worried about the outside here. I'm just worried that they're sealed and that these stay on so that they stay on the car. Alright, so I have the fog lights back in. I don't have it installed yet, of course. This is sitting on top of my table. The glue, the super glue and the PVC glue seem to have held pretty well, except for this top piece, but it was so barely hanging on the way that it had to be cut at the angle. So it was on until I actually screwed it in. It popped off a little bit. So what I did, I just drilled a hole on each side here, wrapped a zip tie between the screw and the back, and pulled it through so that it'll hold on there really well. I could even do a second one, or I can even do that on all the other ones, but I think that's good. The other side I may do the same thing, but this one had a little bit more to hold on to, and they're in there really good. And the only wire that you have for that is about that much lead, so we gotta run some wires back and forth. I'm gonna run everything to the left side here because I'm gonna probably tap off. I'm definitely gonna tap off on the other side of this for the 12-volt parking lights, but actually these might run to the middle because that's where I have my wiring going for the headlights. I have the headlights. They're not fully mounted, just in case I need to pull them out again. But everything is coming together. I had a bunch of the tubing, the black tubing, and I put both the wires from each side. This one is coming from this side. I had to break it at the one transformer, and these for the DRLs get really hot, so I'm gonna mount it right there to the metal, probably stick tape or something. I'm gonna get it to stay right there. Same thing with the other one. I have it coming in. I haven't got the place for it yet. This one, the white boxes, these are for the the demon eyes. I had this running for about 10 minutes last night just to see how hot these boxes get, to figure out where to mount them. And these ones do not get hot at all, but the Oracle ones do get hot. So I have this. I'm going to run both of these through the center here, zip tie it up, and then have a wiring harness that goes from here back through the hole here and follow the cord for your hood pull. That's the only place I can really get through the firewall. I'll have to get some pictures afterwards, but you can pop out the plastic piece that's holding that in and either get under it or try to get through that plastic piece. I'd recommend just under it and pull. I've got the 4 wire, 16, 18 gauge 4-strand wire. I'm going to have to pull at least one for the red, green, blue, and power on the lights, the 4 strands there, and then possibly 2 more, just half of this for power and ground. But I could probably find a ground inside the car, so I'll probably just do the parking light power, since I am not sure on the inside of the car, underneath the driver's side, where I would find the parking 12 volt. Alright, so for the power, I tapped into the harness here that goes to the grill, the front end, and the only thing that you're using off of this is going to be the parking lights, the side lights, because the front ones are now going to be on your Oracle system. So I tapped into the black, which was the ground, and the brown, which was one of this the fog lights. So I've got those tapped into this cable, which I've ran through the firewall, and it actually ends over here right now. I'm just testing it out. This will probably be the connection that I have. Secure it, tape it up, get it all together. I'm going to zip tie all this, probably shorten these cables, but get this all just kind of seated right here. And then I have these cables for the fog lights. I did a little insulation here, just some silicone. I got the 1/4 inch, what is this, 1/4 inch? Yeah, 1/4 inch wire wrap. Put the wire wrap on, and then I also taped it up with electrical tape. Up to this point, which is where, being that this was just a short wire, I added on another 4-strand. I believe this is 20 gauge, either 20 or 18. Ran it over, up, and around to the middle, because this is where all those connections are going to be. So I'm going to get these tied in, and this is the harness that connects back up to that piece, which still powers the side markers. So this is how far I've come. It's been 3 days so far. Each day learning a little something new, learning how to do something a little better. It took all day to do the first light. You can see got the silicone weather stripping around it. Use these clips, they'll keep everything together as you're putting it together, make sure you put some silicone or something in between, and then put the clip on, let it clip down, and get the rest of it. So we're coming along. I've tested this out so far. Everything's working well. Tap in works when I turn on the car. If I actually have a towel in my windshield to cover the sensor so that the parking lights come on, or the daytime runners or whatever, they all come on. And so I've tested it out with parking lights. Everything comes on properly.